Let's talk to David Maddox, who is, of course, political editor of The Independent. David, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. We've sort of unpicked a lot about what happened yesterday in the Rose Garden, which was predictably dull, predictably gloomy, and predictably sort of, lacking in any kind of zest or enthusiasm, because he doesn't do zest and enthusiasm, Starmer, does he? And now he's in Germany, sort of trying to unpick Brexit.
Well, he is, and he's not really. He hasn't been doing an awful lot of cheer really since he got elected. It's been quite an intro.
Yeah.
For his
well, it feels like an awful lot longer than 7 weeks, doesn't it? It feels like he's been in for years.
It does, actually. It does, partly because, of course, the Conservatives were so hopeless, really, for the last few years of their government that, Starmer was just a constant face on our screen, and we've kind of got used to him. I mean, there was a bit of feeling that he was going to be Prime Minister for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
So, and here he is. I mean, his trip to Germany, I think, is going to be quite groundbreaking in a way. I mean, for those who support Brexit, it's going to be bad news, I'm afraid.
What do you think exactly is what he's going to get out of this?
I think the aim is to create this kind of super treaty with Germany as a means of renegotiating the overall EU deal, because let's not forget, Germany's the kind of the money behind the EU. It's the power behind the EU. It's the one that calls the shots. So once you got a deal in place with Germany, it becomes much easier to sort out the agreement that Boris Johnson struck with Brussels, and that's what the clear aim is here. And
yeah, but what does that mean in practical terms, though? What does that mean for companies? What does it mean for people?
We're going to be aligning. It means that we're going to be aligning to EU rules. We're not going to be rejoining. He's always insisted on that, but it becomes a halfway house. We effectively shadow EU rules.
But what sort of EU rules, though? But what sort of EU rules?
Well, is all the kind of boring stuff that makes a country free and able to trade on its own. It's regulations, the standards that, if you like, on different products. So we just end up shadowing their rules. Whatever they decide, we shadow it.
Right. So we're back under EU rule then, in other words.
In effect, yes.
Yeah. So he's basically taking us back into the European Union.
In effect, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when will all of this happen, do you reckon?
Well, so he set this deadline for 6 months for early 2025 for the German deal. I would imagine if that succeeds, he has to do that because Scholz is facing an election next year and actually might get kicked out.
Right.
So if he gets that in place, then you're probably looking at another 12 months with an EU deal, and we're kind of on our way back.
Right. And people, of course, who are concerned about it will say, well, that's all very well, but what is he going to have to concede in order to get them to agree to whatever it is that they want? Whatever trade agreement is made, whatever deal is done, what concessions will Britain be giving in order to do them? Well,
I mean, shadowing EU rules will be a big concession in itself. The EU will be only too pleased on that, because effectively what it means is that the UK is becoming part of the single market again without officially being in it, but is no longer a competitor nation, which was always the EU's concern, really, about an independent...
But if this negotiation can be done when we're still outside of the EU, it could have been done with the Tories, couldn't it?
Well, it could have been done, but the Tories were less in favour of following EU rules. And that was the whole point.
Right. That was one of the reasons why people voted to leave the European Union, because they didn't want to be subject to the rules that were made in a foreign nation state.
Yeah, one of several reasons, certainly.
Yeah.
But
So where has he got the mandate for this? In what world does Keir Starmer think he's got permission to go against the people who voted to leave?
To be fair, it was in the election manifesto. He said he was going to renegotiate the deal, and that's what he's doing. He's got his.
Yeah, but he didn't say that he was going to renegotiate the deal in order to so that we could then be under the rule of the EU again.
No, but that was always implied. I mean, it wasn't said. His claim was that he was going to make Brexit work, in inverted commas. But of course, it's a view that if your biggest market is Europe, then
but it isn't though. Our biggest market isn't Europe, is it?
Well,
our biggest market's never been Europe.
It is and it isn't. But
well, it can't be. It can't be both, David.
That's the argument.
It can't be both. The fact is, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you about it. It's just that practically speaking, the European Union is not Britain's biggest market. It never has been. No,
but the argument is that if you want better access to Europe, then you need a way of.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
and the deal that we have isn't working in that respect.
But what I'm saying, right, is that in order to make the deal work better, the EU has been willing to negotiate with a new government, whereas in fact the reason the relationship wasn't as good when we left is because of mostly petulance by the European Union. Like they're imposing, for example, this visa fee, which is neither here nor there for most people, I don't think, and I'm not particularly bothered by it because you have to pay a visa waiver fee to go into the United States of America. But they don't have to do that. They're doing it because they want to punish us, right?
Yes, there's a lot of truth in that, and
there's a lot of truth in what I say all the time.
No, I know, but the point is, of course, that Starmer was effectively leading the kind of pro-EU side of things in the aftermath of.
Yeah, well, he wanted a second referendum, didn't he?
And they're more willing to negotiate with somebody they consider to be more in their favour. That's fairly.
No, I understand all that. I'm just saying I don't think he's got a mandate for it. He didn't say that he was going to do it. Yes, he said he was going to try and improve the deal that we've got, but that didn't include him saying, and we're going to basically give up on all of the rights that we've got in order to be ruled once again by EU regulations.
Well, they've been very sketchy about the details of what they're going
Funnily
for
enough.
In public, and it'll be interesting to see what emerges from it. I mean, it may well be that he just ends up tinkering with what Rishi Sunak did, but it looks like he's going to try for something much more fundamental.
Right.
Now, the other issue is that the EU will probably want free movement of people in some form or other.
Right.
Well, certainly, if we deal with this kind of visa waiver thing that they're throwing at us,
right?
Which incidentally is going to cause enormous problems for places like Dover.
Well, if they want free movement of under 30-year-olds to be able to come and work in this country, I think most people in this country wouldn't necessarily be against that. However, we probably would be against it if they were still charging us €6 or €7 every time we went to Europe.
Well, that's true. That's true. But
I don't have any great faith in his negotiating skills, I'm afraid. After the way they negotiated with the trade unions and basically gave them everything they wanted, you might say they're not very good at negotiating, this government.
Well, if it's a quick negotiation, then we would be rightly suspicious.
Yes, I think so. Well, we'll keep a very close eye on them, David. I shall expect to get a full report from you soon. Thank you very much indeed. David Maddox, political editor of the Independent. See, they're trying to unpick the deal. They're trying to unpick Brexit. It's as simple as that. But we didn't vote for that. We voted to leave the European Union. And even only 20% of the people that voted for Keir Starmer certainly did not vote to rejoin it. Did we?